Hey everybody, Papa Wigs here with Wigs. We're gonna do our start sits for week 7. I'll kick it off here. My first start here is Tank Bigsby. I think he's gonna have a really good game against this Patriots team in London. ETN, I believe, is out. I think he's out this game. So, um, uh, so, uh, so I think he's gonna pick it up, and the Deontay Johnson or Johnson, their other running back. I don't think he's going to have that big of a role. So I'm going with Bigsby here. I think he could have 80 to 100 yards and possibly a touchdown. Chase Brown, they're playing the Browns this week. I think Chase Brown, we're starting to see the start of the Chase Brown era. So I think he's going to come out and have a good game. He's also, still active in the passing game. So I think he could have a combined 100 yards in this game and a touchdown. I'm not going to go as far as saying he's going to gain over 100 yards, but I definitely think he's going to have a combined over 100 yards. So I definitely would try to get Chase Brown in your lineup. Next guy is Darnell Mooney. You know what? They're playing the Seahawks at home this week. I just got a gut feeling that Mooney's going to pop off this week. That's just me. I think he was kind of quiet last week. Uh, I think Seattle's going to pay a little bit closer attention to um, Drake London. So I just got this gut feeling that he's going to have a good game. I'm going to say he's going to have over 100 yards and a touchdown. My next guy here, Wendell Robinson. The Giants play Philadelphia at home. Uh, Neighbors is going to be back. Neighbors is going to garner all kinds of attention, which only makes it better for Robinson. I think Slayton's going to kind of fade out here now that Neighbors is back, but I definitely think that both Neighbors and Robinson could have really good games here. I think Robinson could have, you know, um, uh, you know, 5 to 7 catches, 80 to 100 yards. I'm not going to go as far to say that he's going to get a touchdown, but I do think he could hit that over 80 yards mark. I think going back to Mooney that he's going to have 7 to 8 catches to and over 100 yards, like I said. And then my last guy here is David Njoku. Listen, the Browns just traded away uh, Amari Cooper. They got Jerry Judy, but who else are they going to throw to? Njoku's back. I think that Kevin Stefanski, their head coach, is going to have him heavily involved against the Bengals here. I think and Juco could have 5 to 7 catches, anywhere from 80 to 100, around 80 yards, and I'll say a touchdown in this one.
I also have Chase Brown as a start. I think Brown's a really good running back here in the league, and I think, like you said, they're going to start looking his way here in this offense. The last 2 or 3 weeks, he's put up decent points, and they've looked his way a lot. He's gotten a call when it comes to making the key play. I mean, he ran in a touchdown late last week. Other than that, he didn't really have a crazy week, but touchdown at the end of the day is good points. Next up, I have JSN. I think that Metcalf is going to garner a lot of attention from the Falcons D this week, and I think JSN is going to have a pretty solid game. I'm thinking he's going to have like 6 or 7 receptions for about 86 yards or so. I'm kind of excited to see how he plays here this week. So it's been a few quiet weeks in a row. I think it's time that he pops off again and has another good game. Then next up, I have the Texans. Tank Dell, he's the wide receiver 2 right now with Nico Collins being out, and I think Tank Dell is just going to have a really good game. I think Stephon Diggs is going to garner a lot of the attention from the Green Bay defense, and I think that's just going to open up Dell a lot. I could see them running the ball a few times here with him as well for quite a few yards because he does have that burst of energy that he can use right away on those types of run plays. So I expect him to probably have about like 105 combined yards and a touchdown here in this game on like probably 5 or 6 receptions. And then next up, I have Jameson Williams of the Lions. This is one I picked because I think St. Brown's going to get a lot of attention from Gilmore and really a bulk of the Vikings defense. I think it's going to be more of a vocal point of, hopefully, keeping him out of the game. But, Jameson Williams steps on up, I think personally, and he's probably going to have the best game on the Lions receiving core. I think he'll go for over 100 yards. I think he's going to have a break-off touchdown against the RD. I think he's just going to burn someone and have like a 65-plus yard touchdown here in this game. Um, that's just how it is, you know. And then lastly, I have Romeo Dobbs. I think he showed last week that he's still really talented here early on, and you know if he can just put his little attitude to the side and not be a little bit of a diva there, he should be good this week, and you know could have another touchdown here on like 60 or 70 yards from Jordan Love.
Yeah, I like your Dell Williams picks, Wigs. I agree with you. I think Diggs is going to garner attention from Alexander um, from Green Bay. So I think Dell and the Texans like to use Dell in those kind of change of direction type plays in the backfield, and Jameson Williams, I think he could have a big game against the Vikings too. I hate saying that, but the Vikings haven't had much success. Hell, his first game he got a touchdown. It was like a 60-some yard touchdown against the Vikings. So, like your two picks there. Yeah. So sits for me. Bucky Irving for Tampa Bay. Listen, I'm not. I like Bucky Irving, but I think Sean Tucker, has the coach has been talking him up all week. I also think they're playing a tough Ravens team, and as much as I like the Buccaneers defense, I really think this is going to be a shootout game, and I don't know that Tampa Bay is going to have much success in their running game here. Plus, not knowing if White's going to play and where Tucker stands, I think if you got Irving, you're better off finding a better option here. Ty Chandler, again, here's another one. Aaron Jones is, they're saying he's supposed to be playing against Detroit. Detroit's really tough against the run. I just don't know that the Vikings are going to have much success running the ball. It also makes me nervous that they brought, I'm glad they brought in Cam Akers, but for any Chandler owners, I'd be a little bit nervous about that because I'm hearing rumors that Akers is got the potential of taking over the number 2 spot from Chandler. So it'll be interesting. So you may want to just lay low with him this week and see, what's going to happen with him because I kind of got a feeling he's fading out here, especially with the Akers signing. Michael Pittman, this was a hard one for me because I really do like Michael Pittman, but Richardson's supposed to be the quarterback this year, and as much as I hate to admit that Wiggs is right. When Richardson's quarterback, Pittman just doesn't. He's just not getting the ball. I don't know if it's because Richardson's just not hitting them or they just not there yet. I just think that if you got a better option, you may want to go with it. Here because they're also playing the Dolphins defense, which is they're not terrible. So yeah, I would definitely look at a different option there. My next guy, Calvin Ridley, I put him on here for a couple reasons. One, Drake May is not Drake May. Will Levis is out, so they have Mason Rudolph in. Who knows what that's going to do? They're playing the Bills in Buffalo. I think Rudolph is going to struggle against this Bills defense, and I think these receivers are going to struggle, and I really don't think Tennessee is going to score that much. That's just me. So if you got a better option, I would look at it in this game because I'm not thinking that Ridley's going to have a very great game. And then my last guy here is Isaiah Likely. He's another guy that I really like. I just kind of feel like Mark Andrews is working his way back into the offense. Lamar's got a connection with him. I also think that Zay Flowers is going to be taken away from these guys. And ever since that big game that Likely has, he hasn't really, really had a monster game since then. So if you got a better option at tight end, to me, you should look at that option.
And then for me, I have Devin Singletary here at the Giants. I think this one is becoming a little more obvious. You have Tyrone Tracy, who's had back-to-back good weeks, and I kind of expect him to kind of chip away at Singletary's reps. Actually, I really see this being a 50-50 split here between the two, or maybe sway in the direction of Tracy. For all we know, maybe Singletary is one of those guys that maybe they think about trading before the deadline if Tracy keeps his hot hand going, because Tracy and Eric Gray in the backfield haven't looked too bad. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they tried shopping Singletary around to see if they could get anything from him. But um, this week, I just don't think Singletary coming off an injury is going to have much of an impact. I think he'll struggle in the run game. I think the Giants are really going to be passing the ball more, which I think will benefit Tracy more than it will Singletary here this week, because Tracy showed last week that he can receive the ball pretty well. I mean, a wide receiver converted running back. So it wouldn't surprise me if they start using Tracy more in that passing game. I think this will be the week that shows that. Next up, Zach Moss. I can't believe I was even thinking about keeping him in the offseason in our league. So I'm glad I didn't, because I just don't think we're going to see anything spectacular the rest of the year from him. Maybe a pop-off game or two here, but I really do think Chase Brown's going to be taking over that role here in the coming weeks. I think he'll be out on the field for that 60-40 split over Moss rather than, Moss getting that 60-40 that he is right now. And yeah, I mean, these last few weeks have shown their offense looks better with Chase Brown in the game than when Zach Moss is in the game. And then next up, I have Jaylen Warren. Disappointment this year, just overall for me. I actually don't think either one of the running backs are going to have a good week here for the Steelers because they're playing a tough Jets defense. So I'd sway away from both of them. But Jaylen Warren is the bigger one for me. I thought he'd be more involved in this offense, and he's really just irrelevant. I know he's been injured for 2 weeks. Came back last week, but still did nothing. Had high hopes for him, and I mean, every running back I think I've drafted so far in ours, besides of Brown, but I traded him away, has just kind of been a dud. So, and then next up, and this is probably the hottest take on this list, Zay Flowers. I just have a gut feeling he's just gonna have a slow week. I think it's gonna be the Derrick Henry show, and I could see Mark Andrews having a bigger game this week than Zay Flowers. Looking strictly at numbers, Zay Flowers has never strung together 3 games consecutively where he pops off fantasy point wise. He's done it before where he's gotten 18 to 20 ish, and then he drops down to like 4 or 5 because Lamar starts looking at Andrews or someone else in that offense. So it wouldn't surprise me this week if Andrews or even one of the other tight ends had a much bigger role here. And who knows? Is Winfield Jr. playing this week? If he's playing, then Flowers is going to have a tough matchup regardless.
I don't know. Their defense is, yeah. I think he's playing, so.
And if he is, he's going to be matched up on Flowers, and Winfield Jr. is a really good corner, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Winfield's actually a safety.
Oh, is he a safety?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang. Well, regardless, I think he'll end up matched up on him quite a bit here throughout the game. But yeah, and then lastly, Travis Etienne. I don't know if he was officially ruled out or not.
No, he's not. I just looked it up, and they're saying he's a game time decision. And they won't know until they release their inactives.
Yeah, and even regardless of that, they really haven't shown that they want to involve him a lot in the offense this year compared to what they did last year. And he really hasn't been too impressive at all this year. So, I mean, me personally, I'd sway away from him. I would go with your pick in Tank Bigsby. And I don't know why I'm getting like a James Robinson feeling out of this Jaguars offense right now where they, picked up a running back the year prior, didn't utilize him much. I know Etienne was hurt during that time, but then that next year, midway through the year, they started cutting Robinson's reps and Etienne started getting it. I'm getting a weird vibe about this whole offense right now. It wouldn't surprise me if Tank Bigsby kind of just pulls like an Etienne from a few years ago and ends up stealing reps away, and they maybe try to shop Etienne. I don't know. It just kind of feels like the same situation because I know when we first started our fantasy league, I had James Robinson as one of my running backs, and then he was dwindled out because Etienne came up after his injury that year 1 and just took away his reps. I had this weird feeling about it just in general. So
well, he's been struggling with injuries too. So, and when you're injured and you can't really show what you can do, you know what I mean. Yeah. It makes it difficult for a coach to be confident in you. So, I agree with you on there. And I've heard rumblings that Bigsby's going to be getting more carries anyways, even if Etienne is healthy. Yeah. I don't disagree with you on the Flowers one either. I think he could have a good game, but I kind of feel like this is going to be a Mark Andrews kind of game in the passing game. That's just my vibe here. I also think that the the Buccaneers might be without Vita Vea on their line. It sounds like he's probably going to be out, and if that's the case, I think Derrick Henry's going to have a field day against Tampa Bay's front line. So I think it's going to be hard to know how Flowers will do. He could have a good game, but I kind of feel like this might be a Mark Andrews kind of game. So yeah. So anyways, it'll be interesting. This is a tough week. But hopefully this is helpful to everybody. Wiggs, you got any final thoughts? Okay, check out Fantasy Fools PPR on YouTube. We're also out on Snapchat, X, TikTok, Instagram. Like, share, subscribe. If you got any feedback, great. If you got any lineup questions, reach out. Otherwise, we hope you're finding this as another useful place to go for your fantasy football questions. And until next time, we'll see you soon.